Thanks for joining us tonight, Rafael. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Maria Diaz, and I'm the current president of the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers in Miami chapter. So we have some of our board members together with me tonight, Marquito, Arnold, Huguito. Without them, we couldn't be bringing you these wonderful speakers and these wonderful events. So thank you guys for helping me make it happen and bring wonderful people like Rafael to share their vast knowledge with us. Pretty sure we're gonna be able to learn a lot from Rafael tonight. So Rafael is the VP of customer experience. That's correct, at Coupa Software in Latin America. From my knowledge, which is not a lot, it's a company that is in supply chain optimization. And I guess I'm gonna let Rafael talk a little bit more about what the company does, but pretty sure that they have a lot of industrial engineers there working for them and helping companies around the world solve the biggest supply chain problems. And I would say that, I would venture to say, Rafael, that you have solved a lot of supply chain problems as it relates to COVID since last year.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So with that said, welcome, Rafael, and welcome everybody. We're happy to have you join us tonight. And go ahead, Rafael, let me make you a host.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. Yeah, if you make me a host, I will start sharing my screen.
One second.
So while we do that, maybe I can just double down on that great introduction that Maria just gave about me. So my name is Rafael. I'm actually Panamanian. I'm actually living in Panama right now. And as Maria was saying, I'm the regional vice president for Coupa Software for an area we call value services, which is basically the area that works together with our customers implementing this type of technologies and trying to bring to value all these initiatives that they are trying to solve. So we combine pretty much state-of-the-art technology with processes, with getting the right talent, and guiding, advising our customers to extract the value from those investments, and of course, making their supply chains more efficient and enable them to get better services for their business and for their customers. So that's kind of a quick summary introduction of regarding what we do. I still can't share my screen. I don't know what's happening here, Maria. It says...
What's happening is that this is Hugo's account, and when Hugo connected, Hugo took away the host from me. So okay. Hugo has to make you the host.
Okay, okay.
Huguito, please help us.
All right. Let me see how we do that. And
so you need to select Rafael and make him a host.
Does that work? No, not yet, right?
No, you need to go to the participants list, go to Rafael, and there will be a menu there that says mute or more. And when you click on more, you can make him a host.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
All yours, sir.
Thank you, Hugo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So now I think I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Perfect. So we already went through the introduction, so let's get started. First of all, actually, I had a quick icebreaker for the group here. Try to get to know each other better, and actually, it will help me to kind of canalize the speech. I mean, I would like to know where are you guys located, which industries you guys are working on right now, and a little bit about your role. So to do that, I will share with you this interactive platform right here. Just give me 1 second. So this is better if you do it through your phone or if your laptop has a touchscreen, especially for the first question. But basically what you need to do is to go to this website, menti.com, www.menti.com, and it will ask you to introduce a code. So we can use this code right here, just 205912.5. And then you will be able to log in, and we can start answering the first question. The first question is where you need actually the touch screen. If there is someone from maybe Europe, Asia, I doubt it, but I'm sorry about that. So here we have the US and Latin America. It will be great to see where our participants located. So we're already starting to see a couple of dots in the map. So we have people in Miami, we have people on the West Coast, East Coast, Mexico, Brazil. It's nice. Let's give it a couple of more minutes for everyone to join. So right now it seems we have 26 participants, so can give it another minute. So if you are just joining right now, so you can use your phone or your laptop if you have a touch screen, and go to menti.com. You can introduce that code right there, and you can start answering that first question we have on screen. I will actually do it myself. So that's me in Panama. Good. So I think we have a good distribution of people around the US and around the region. That's very nice to see. Let's go to the next question here. So let's type in your industry. So on which industry are you currently working on? And we will start seeing the answers on the screen as well to see how diverse is this group right now. It's nice. We have healthcare, technology, agribusiness, education, airlines. I have a couple of students. That's really great as well. Non-profit organizations, retail. Pharma, food and beverage. Great. I think this is a quite diverse group. That will be interesting to see all the trends and challenges you guys are facing. Okay, let's go to the next one. So tell us a little bit about your role in that industry you just described. Just select one of these answers. So we have a little bit of everything. This is very diverse in all the different dimensions. It's getting very interesting. Very nice, very nice. So let's move to the next one. And now we will have two more questions. So this one and one more, and that will pretty much define the presentation I'm about to do for you guys. So the first question, and this is just your opinion, there are no right or wrongs. So what do you think is more important while you're optimizing supply chains from all these elements right here? It's more important to have the right people, the right talent? Is it more important to have good processes in place? Is it more important to have great technology or the best technology in the world? Or is it more important to have a great strategy? So people seems to be very, very important, right? People, strategy, process and technology are kind of fighting down there a little bit. So let's wait for maybe one or two additional answers. Okay. So it seems that's it. One more second. Okay. Good. That's interesting. And the final one, and this doesn't mean that technology is the most important thing, but since we are going to talk about technology, so what comes to mind? I mean, I guess the topic already sets a precedent. So it seems we need technology to optimize supply chains. But what will be your first thought? Like, why do we need technology? So that's a good first answer. So we need data accuracy. So that's very important, and technology can definitely help us with that. What else do you guys? What else comes to mind? Ability to scale, yeah. Business intelligence. It will drive process and strategy. I like that one. Simplification, timelines, I guess, speed to, yeah, exactly. Speed to value, right? Capacity to run and analyze scenarios. So yeah, those are all great ideas. Technology might increase the effectiveness of people and don't waste their talent. Yeah, exactly. Agility. AI can help find unexpected solutions. That's right. Dealing with a system of systems which might get too chaotic. Yeah, like many systems and many databases, and nothing is like standardized, right? So, so those are all great ideas and correct answers. So you guys actually know pretty well what you want to hear tonight. So let's jump back into the presentation, and I will start adding some additional, let's call reasons of why we need technology. I would like to start with why, and then we will maybe talk about what is that technology that is available and how we can implement it. So going back to the slides, I know most of you are industrial engineers, right? Industrial and systems engineers. So let's start talking about numbers. So this is one of the reasons why we need technology to optimize supply chains. This is actually some insights of the average of the different combinations, the supply chain from our customers, from the hundreds and hundreds of projects we have been leading globally. This is kind of the average footprint of each one of those companies. So if you can imagine and you can relate this maybe to your own numbers, your numbers of your organization, having 300 suppliers or more, having an operation on 10 countries, having a quite sizable footprint in terms of manufacturing plants, warehouses, cross docks, right? Having a big portfolio of SKUs. Of course, that will depend a lot on the industry, and having also a very detailed customer base that requires a lot of lanes, a lot of shipments to track and to deliver on time and in full, right? So this by itself brings a lot of complexity, like how we can analyze all the options that come out of these combinations. And for you guys that really like math and numbers, I will give you the answer of what is the average number of combinations from source, product, customer that our customers deal with regularly on the day-to-day basis. So what's actually the size of that matrix of all those combinations? Give you the answer in a couple of slides, but you can start thinking on a few numbers. So hopefully, I mean, if this was the only complexity we have, I mean, it will be a lot, but unfortunately, that's not all we need to deal with. There are also a lot of trends and external disruptors that will pretty much multiply the variability, multiply the uncertainty on the complexity of those supply chains. So maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe everyone was talking about globalization, right? And how that changed the way we did business prior to that trend. So everyone was looking for cheapest alternatives for production, for distribution, for getting to other markets, right? And that was a really mind shift that all the businesses had. But then no one else is talking about globalization. Now we are all talking about glocalization. And I really like this example of the beer because it's one of the most concrete examples. So everyone loves or prefer craft beer, like locally sourced, locally brewed, locally produced, right? It has a perception of increased value versus a great global brand, right? We're not saying that the global brands are bad, but it's just a consumer shift, right? They prefer now items, they prefer food, they prefer beverages that are closer to home, companies that are giving back to the community, companies that are sustainable. So all these major trends are also impacting that complexity in terms of numbers that we just saw. There are many consumer trends as well. So e-commerce, right? That started many years ago, but now the expectations are, I mean, really insane, at least for us that work in supply chain. So before, I mean, thinking on 2-day delivery or even same-day delivery was something like extraordinary, and now consumers are actually expecting that. That's a normal expectation, and they even expect that to be free, right? Everyone loves free shipping. So that complexity of pushing our operations to be more efficient, more accurate, having the right size of inventory so you can perform at that level, it really, really puts a lot of complexity to your own numbers, to your own operation, right? Gratefully, technology has been coming along, so that's another positive trend that is also supporting those shifts that we are seeing in the market. So cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of those new developments are actually the ones helping customers and companies to operate at that level and make it feasible for those expectations from customer to be real, right? Besides those trends and macro shifts, there are also external disruptors that most of the time we cannot control. So there are financial crises, right? There are almost like a cycle, right? There are even studies like every X amount of years, there will be a financial crisis. There are also economic and political problems. So maybe 2 years ago, we were all talking about the trade wars at different levels, right? Even in the region, because we work with many customers in Latin America, they were seeing that as an opportunity and how they can actually capitalize on those trade wars to become maybe a more prominent player for sourcing products or materials to the US. So that was actually very, very interesting. And of course, again, adding a lot of additional uncertainty to your own operations. If you only had providers or suppliers in China and you were buying some commodities impacted on these trade wars, then you had a lot of uncertainty and volatility during those times, and probably you still have it, right? And finally, I mean, we cannot forget, I mean, we're still going through this, right? The COVID-19 pandemic that really put a lot of pressure and uncertainty around the world. And also on different spectrums, right? Some companies were actually fighting to keep up with demand, right? How they can actually fulfill that peak in demand depending on the products they were selling. Some others, they were actually trying to see what they could do with their operation to survive, right? There were many industries heavily impacted that they are still heavily impacted, and they are just taking decisions to survive and go through the crisis. But again, for the positive or the negative side, it's uncertainty. Those are decisions, those are analysis to be done and things to be taken in consideration to make sure we are actually taking data-driven and smarter decisions there, right? Just to close with a final slide in terms of why, there are a couple of industry trends that actually we already spoke about a few of these ones, but in the end, they kind of interconnect between them. So if we go first through the retail industry, I think we already talked about it. So e-commerce retailers are closing and closing more stores every day, right? They are shifting everything to omnichannel or fully e-commerce, right? We also have the CPG and food and beverage industries fighting with that concept of localization, being more sustainable, giving back to the community, and being perceived as a sustainable and positive brand, right? And actually retailers are trying to take their piece of the pie because these companies are also fighting retailers on this trend of growing private labels, right? So many big retailers are putting out there their own food product labels, private brands. Maybe the most or the smarter CPG and food and beverage companies are actually partnering with these retailers, so they can get also that piece of the pie. Okay, I can co-produce your product. We will put your brand, but it's going to be my production, right? So all those decisions where it makes sense comes in the end to an impact into the supply chain when we think into the end-to-end business. And finally, manufacturing, right? Everything is going through digital transformation. Everything is shifting from, let's call, low cost, maybe low quality production to right cost, but high quality production, investing in more technology and bringing suppliers closer to home so we can actually thrive on scenarios such as the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So there are many, many things. And these are you guys, pretty much. This is all of us right now. So many, many things to follow, many shifting trends, a lot of complexities, a lot of consumer behaviors changing every day, right? So it's really confusing. It's really hard to follow. And unfortunately, that's not all, right? Inside our own organizations, there are many questions, there are many decisions that the business wants to take. And that's additional stress that the organizations are going through, because it seems no one has the way to get it right, right? Like, we have many questions, many variables to consider, many different fronts to evaluate, and we just want, I don't know, smarter, faster decisions, right? Unfortunately, if we don't have the, as we were saying, the processes, the strategy, the technology, the people in place, that's pretty complex to keep up with. And that's why we say that most of those answers are actually dead on arrival, right? So you get asked by the management, like, okay, we need to solve this issue. You go back, you try to gather all the data, you try to gather all the information to make the best decision. But when you get to the decision, then there's another trend, something changed, the assumptions are wrong, assumptions are different. So you don't have a way to keep up. And there has been a lot of different developments to try to keep up with those variables. So for example, the first one, and you guys actually mentioned about business intelligence and maybe data lakes, and those are actually great initiatives. And it's actually a great first step, right? To bring all the data together from all those different systems that no one have mapped before, as someone mentioned in the comments. But that's not enough, right? A BI, a data lake won't give you the end-to-end visibility, won't give you the supply chain context, and will only provide current or past visibility of what happened. It won't give you, or it won't help you to get to that future or prescriptive capability that we actually want to take decisions. The other piece are companies that are actually investing in developing internal data science tools, which is actually pretty good, great initiatives. So they are actually hiring data scientists. They are incorporating algorithms based on their business, something very specialized. But unfortunately, I mean, the idea is great, the execution not so great, and that's what the different surveys show us. It's really hard to bring value from those internal developments of solutions and having an own team developing those solutions, right? First, it requires very special skills, so that talent is not cheap, it's very expensive, and as the surveys show, the results often do not scale. It's really hard to keep up with that. And finally, I mean, pretty much every company at a certain maturity has planning and execution systems, and those are very important, those are very good, but those simply put their rules to operate, right? So it doesn't let you run scenarios, as some of you mentioned. It doesn't let you question the different policies that are in place. So they were built, they were configured with some specific rules, and no one will change them. And we don't want them to change because they actually have a different objective of governance and control, but we actually need something else to help us evaluate scenarios and look for alternatives to eventually change those rules of planning and execution, right? So you might be asking, like, okay, so just give me the solutions. You, Rafael, I mean, you have coming in here to talk about all the problems, all the complexities. So let's land on the solution. So we will get there. So how we can solve that? And that's why I wanted to ask you that question, and you guys actually replied pretty well. So we actually solve it with a great mix of people, strategy, process, and technology. And I have here a very out-of-the-box example. So let's take the US soccer team. So that's kind of the team you are building. First of all, you need to make sure you put the right talent in the right position, right? So you need a goalkeeper, you need a midfielder, you need each one of those positions to execute their role, right? Once you get the talent, you develop that talent, you need a strategy. So what we want to accomplish, maybe the team wants to qualify to the World Cup. They actually will begin playing the final round now in June. So they probably have a strategy, a short-term strategy to get through those qualifiers, make sure they get qualified to the World Cup. And once they get there, then they will change that strategy, or that strategy will evolve to another objective, what they want to get out of the World Cup. So that strategy should be flexible, should be evolving, should be analyzed continuously, right? It's not like a mission statement, right? It's something that is actually improving every time. Once we have the strategy, then we will start training camp, the process, the evolution, all those data integrations, data validations, all those processes on what are we going to do when we get to the real world? Like when we discover an opportunity to score a goal, what are we going to do? What are going to be the processes we will need to undertake to make that a reality? And finally, technology. As you guys said, we don't want our talent to spend time crunching data, for example. There's a lot of technology to help them with that. So we want them to do what they do best in each one of their roles. So technology can actually speed up the process, sustain the process over time, make it scalable, solve more complex problems, and so on. So they, in the case of the US team, maybe they are using technology to research their opponents, look for different training programs, track their progress, things like that, right? So that's actually very important. What is the right answer? What is more important than, I mean, between all these elements, I will say the right answer is that they are pretty much equally important, right? You cannot survive with one or the another. And I will say that maybe what is really important is that technology is probably the last part, and pretty much the support of everything else, right? So you cannot get the best technology in the world if you don't have the process, or if your organization is not mature enough, because you're not going to extract that value. But once all those items are in place, a good technology will really help you to get to your objectives and to your value faster, right? So that's kind of the idea there. So getting more specific, and I promised you guys that I was going to give you the number of combinations. So this is coming on this slide. So let's get to the final answer. So how can we build this? How we can actually put in place technology to help us optimize our supply chains? So we will start where we left in terms of the different initiatives, which was the planning and execution systems. Those are actually very good, very necessary. That's part of the maturity journey every organization has to go through before thinking on this type of technology for optimizing and making supply chains more efficient. So there are benefits, as we discussed. So they enforce the business rules, they manage all the operational transactions, maintain key business data, but we know what are the gaps. It's maybe time consuming to implement that type of technology. Someone actually mentioned this one already. So sometimes there are unique data models for each one of the systems, and there are no visibility between these systems, right? Remember, we're thinking about the end-to-end supply chain. So we might have a system for supplier management, a system for production planning, a system to assist with the warehouse management, the transportation management, and so on. So those systems are good in their specialties, but we actually need something that helps us to integrate all those transactions and help us to have an overall view of the business and all those trade-offs that we want to take and optimize. And this is what we are pretty much dealing with. So this is the number. Of course, it's an average. There will be companies with more combinations, companies with less combinations, but this is the average number of combinations between source, products, and customers that our customers deal with when trying to analyze their supply chains. So do you guys know how many Excel spreadsheets will you need to only map all those combinations, right? So that's another reason why we really need technology to back us up on these topics. So from those, that will be 191 billion combinations. There is one optimal route to flow that product from its source to the final consumption point or the final demand point. So can you imagine that? All the different possibilities and variables we need to validate there, right? And that's what actually we will do, and that's actually what we need to do if we want to optimize our supply chains from an end-to-end perspective. Finally, so let's jump right into how I see this being built at our customers and the leaders at different industries worldwide. So again, we don't want to mess with the planning execution systems. I truly believe there are a lot of opportunities to improve there, but that's not the topic of today's conversation. What we actually want to do is to start working on a layer that integrates all those systems and start giving us that visibility, that consolidated database for supply chain design intelligence, right? So we want to get all the transactions from suppliers, transactions from productions, from replenishment, from inventory, transportation, customer orders, put that into a single layer. Think it like the matrix, like everything is there, everything is validated, the system is integrated, we can refresh that data every now and then, and that will be our only source of truth, right? Because that's one of the issues companies face. There are many different points where we can get data and no one knows which is actually the real or the right data. After we build that layer, we will start building the first decision layer, which is the design piece. And this is where we're going to be building mathematical models that will take that data, which is, again, integrated, validated, consolidated, and will help us to start making strategic decisions, aggregated data, which will give us direction of the decisions we need to make. And these decisions are usually on a year or months of horizons, right? It's not something for the day-to-day, but we are maybe planning, okay, how many distribution centers do I will need in 5 years based on the demand growth projection I'm currently having, right? Or even, okay, I want to get into a new market, get closer to a new segment of customers. So what will be my manufacturing footprint, or what is going to be the investment I will need to make in the network to get there? So those are kind of strategic decisions, maybe designing like on a blank space or a napkin, right? After building that strategic layer, then we go to the tactical layer, tactical decisions, which we call planning, right? So we already designed the future, right? We have a lot of flexibility because it's the future. We can do whatever we want, and then we will evaluate, of course, business case, return of investment, but we can do whatever we want on that design piece. And then we jump into the tactical decisions, the planning. So I know where I want to be 5 years from now, but what do I need to start doing next month, next week, to make sure I start making small progress, start capturing small value. So over time, we actually get to that final strategic design we built on the prior phase, right? And here we have, I mean, many solutions, many use cases that we could be talking about. So tactical decisions around sourcing, around manufacturing, distribution, transportation, inventory, capacity planning, you know, so what's the operations going to look like next month, and what are those quick wins that I can start capturing without making big investments, right? We're not talking about new DCs, new plants. we're just talking about maybe redirecting some flows, changing some policies, and making the business more efficient. And finally, we get to the final layer, which I call the democratization of the information and the democratization of the decision making. And how we do this, it's pretty much giving to the people on the field, the ones that are making those more operational decisions on the day-to-day, on the week-by-week, the capacity to access that information, to have intelligence at their hands, so they can take the best decisions and connect back to the tactical plan, connect back to the strategic plan. So we can actually build purpose-built applications for different specific use cases. And everyone, I think that's the main objective here, everyone will collaborate, everyone will have the same intelligence, the same information. So everyone will be aligned with the decisions that we need to be making. If we are able to build all of this, what do you guys think is going to be the final result? It's pretty much what we call the digital twin. You'll be creating a digital twin of your operation, and that's simply a digital representation of the business, something where you can test scenarios, something that will help you predict the future based on a given set of variables in terms of, I don't know, demand growth, or maybe even shorter term marketing wants to launch a new campaign. We're going to be giving some discounts, how that demand or how that incentive will impact the operation, right? Are we ready to do that? Or even longer term, right? As we were talking about, we need to invest on new production lines. We need to invest on expanding our delivery fleet. There are many questions you can address, and you'll be able to test those scenarios on the digital world before actually coming to the real world and executing and capturing that value. So it's actually an outstanding advantage to have a configuration like this. So this is pretty much technology. That's the summary of what we can do with technology. But as you guys know, there are other three components. So this is a very quick summary of what we can do with strategy and processes. So there is a practice that has been evolving, and I think the main focus here is that evolution is actually following the consumer trends that we saw at the beginning, right? So at the beginning, maybe a few years ago, we were talking about optimization projects, right? So one time, very sporadic design, right? I will do my 5-year design and I will revisit that maybe in 2 years or in 3 years. Now we are seeing that we really need a continuous design because the speed of change is really increasing. So every other month, I don't know, every other quarter, there are new variables that we need to take in place that might impact that initial design. Another one is we were used to see projects by functions, right? So the transportation area, they had an initiative, they wanted to reduce transportation costs, but they may be impacting, I don't know, the working capital because now the inventories are up because of the strategies they took. So it's really necessary to start thinking end to end. Maybe I will pay a little bit more in transportation, but I save a ton in fixed costs because I was able to close a warehouse. I don't know. I mean, there are many trade-offs. So we really need to think end to end. And the final one I will highlight here is cost and efficiency versus actually value, sustainability over time. So all the projects were driven by financials. I want to reduce costs, right? I mean, everyone wants to do that, but we really want to actually put in place other variables, extracting value or bringing more value to your customers, increasing profit, being more sustainable, because in the end, those are actually the consumer trends that are out there influencing the market as well. So that's kind of the strategy processes, some guidelines on how to establish that. And I think we are right on time because I wanted to spend a couple of minutes with you guys in case you have questions. So there is only one more slide here. And I don't know, I mean, who can answer what are we missing? We already saw technology, we already saw strategy and processes. What are we missing?
People.
Exactly. So all of us, right? All of us, industrials and system engineers, logisticians, professionals that work in the field are actually the last component. And I really wanted to put that slide at the end because I'm really passionate about collaboration, networking, and I really believe that the community is actually smarter together. I mean, if we start sharing information, it doesn't need to be like the secret sauce of your business, but sharing information, discussing challenges, discussing issues, trends, and having this type of forums really help to advance the knowledge, advance the industry, and in the end, actually get better deals for all of us. Because if we start putting out trends and operating at different levels, more efficient, all of those benefits will be shared among the different regions, companies, and industries. So that being said, and before getting into any questions, any comments you guys might have, please let's connect. Let's keep the conversation going. This is my contact information. If you want to discuss anything, I'll be very happy to connect with each one of you guys. Good. So
Rafael.
Yeah, go ahead, Maria.
Oh, I was just gonna call somebody that has a question. My friend Jorge has a question for you. Actually, lots of questions for you.
Yes. Hi, Maria. Hi, Rafael. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I was actually about to ask you about if you have heard about digital twinning before you actually mentioned it. But now that you brought it into the topic, I'm a guy that comes from a background of process improvement and simulations technologies, especially discrete event simulations. I've seen some of the transition that in the last 2-3 years that the term digital twin has been sounding in the simulations and modeling community. I've seen some of the efforts of companies such as Simio, AnyLogic are trying to do to start building their software infrastructures and their architectures to, set up the digital twinning, but it's still some sort of unclear to me what are some of the strategies to actually start doing that implementation and what other pieces of technologies are needed to be in place. So with all that that I've been said, my question will be, in your experience or what you have seen so far, what are some of the strategies that companies are implementing to bring the idea of digital twinning into the into the industry? And my second question will be more related to maturity and technology levels. Of course, we cannot really have an optimized process if we first don't even have a process at all. So what's driving what? It's the technology that is causing the organizations to start becoming more matured, or it's the maturity that is causing all these technologies driving forces into the industries?
That's a really great question, Jorge. And I think actually you pretty much have the answer there for the first one. So I think it sometimes, I mean, these concepts, they get a lot of I don't know, publicity. So digital twin starts to become like a buzzword, right? So everyone starts talking about it. Everyone wants a digital twin. So every company wants a digital twin, and I don't know what it is, but get me one, right? We have a lot of that in the market. And it comes really back to the process and the maturity. So regardless of which one of the technologies is going to support in the end that final decision-making process, because that's what you want your digital twin to help you with, like making decisions. The first thing you need to do is really to get through all those processes of data integration, data validation, data mapping. I mean, creating all that layer, what we call the data decision model. So you haven't done anything there yet. You haven't applied any super innovation algorithm or anything like that. You're just actually understanding your business, creating visibility, creating something that will be standardized and easy to update, easy to refresh. Once you have that process in place, and that maturity, all the different areas are connected, everyone understands that we are looking at the end-to-end, we're looking at the optimal goal, then you can start implementing more innovation. You can start bringing some of these technologies that will actually help you to speed up the decision-making process and kind of the data-driven decisions that will come out from the digital twin. So it's something that we have been learning through the years. It's something that we are now focusing with our customers. So maybe 10 years ago, technology companies were actually focused on selling technology.
Right.
We are now trying to actually sell value, right? Sell a service. I mean, technology by itself won't have a lot of value, but you need that guidance, that advisory to increase your maturity, and then make sure you will be able to capture the value from that technology.
Thank you. Sorry for the really long question.
That was great. That was great.
All right. So does anybody else have any question? I invite you to turn on your cameras and ask Rafael away while we have him. There are 40 people in this call and nobody has a question.
Yeah, we'll actually pull this up again because I know it happens. I mean, if you really have a question and afterthought, yeah, let's really connect. We're happy to keep the conversation going. But of course, if you have a question now, yeah, I mean, we still have time.
I was not able to see the full presentation. My friend's car ended up getting stuck and I had to help him try and move it. So my questions aren't necessarily towards what happened in the presentation, but I have an internship with Bayer working with value stream and trying to optimize processes. What are some of the skills that I should look for in that experience to take me to the next step? Or if I were able to get the job after that, what should I look for to make sure that in the next step, I'll have those skills to be successful in the job?
Oh, that's a very, very good question and actually a very difficult one. And I say because that's one of the challenges most of our customers face, and actually Bayer is one of our customers. And getting the right talent, it takes, I guess, two phases. So one is maybe the theory, like they want background, they want maybe an industrial engineer, right? That will come with all that theory. And the other piece is how easy, or maybe we can call it like the cultural fit, but how easy that person can understand the business, can be a kind of a connector internally and start delivering value from that perspective. I think in terms of technical skills, what I have seen from companies looking at different type of resources, definitely anything around data analytics. It's a very good trend right now. So maybe learning a little bit about programming, like R, Python or something like that usually helps, because they are actually trying to go through this process of building the digital twin. They need to integrate data. They want someone who can actually extract information from out of their data. So a little bit on statistics, things like that is actually what I have seen companies are looking for. And then, of course, there are all these other specific technologies out there in the market. So depending on what buyer is using, then there are certifications, there are specific trainings depending on what technology they are using underlying to solve their problems. So that will be my recommendation.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're coming up to the end here. So first of all, thank you, Rafael, for sharing some of your vast knowledge with us. Thank you for accepting our invitation to talk to us. We really appreciate it. So before we leave for the night, can you stop sharing, Rafael? And I'm gonna invite everybody, as I usually do, to turn on your cameras so we can have a group picture with Rafael.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Come on, if you join us for, you have been joining us for a while, you would know that that's what we do every time. What do you say, Brett? Are you familiar with that?
Very
Brett?
familiar. Let's do it.
Carolina, this is Marco.
I mean, that's, hey,
Just-
Marco.
Just quick, first, Rafael, thank you. And sorry that I cut you down for a second. This was a great presentation, Rafael. I'm actually part of the board with Carolina and others, trying to do these great events in which people like you help us deliver great messages and hopefully make an impact in everyone that has the opportunity to attend. What I wanted to share with everyone is that we actually have open positions for the board of our chapter. So if any one of you is interested in getting that experience in your resume and in working, you know, with the different people, not only us, but those that will soon be in the positions that we are, we welcome and invite everyone to be a part of. Being in the vice president role for the last year and a half has given me a lot of exposure, not only to the speakers or to the people within our board, but also to all the attendees of the events and the people that we've worked with or partnered to make these events actually happen. So it's a great networking opportunity. It's also good for networking, some leadership skills, among many other benefits. So if anyone is interested, there's already email communications going out, but you could reach us via email and then we will provide you with more information about it. So that's my 2 seconds, even though it felt like a minute.
Hey, Rafa, I want to thank you. Great job as always. You know, I actually had the pleasure of working with you once I started back in 2013 at PriceSmart, and you were our consultant. You did a fantastic job, and we taken that simulation, we taken actually the optimization platform to a different level, and we'll continue to grow. And you know, it's a proven concept. You know, it works. So thank you again. You know, for taking the time. I know you're a very busy guy, so truly really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. It was my pleasure. Thanks a lot.
I've been trying to take a couple of screenshots, but you guys are looking all over the place. So let's imagine that we are all in a room together, that ideally we would all be in a room together. However, because of COVID, we can't. So let's make the best out of this virtual world and smile into the camera at the count of 3. Yeah, 1, 2, and smile. That's so much better. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I'm truly waiting for these restrictions to go away so we can actually see each other again, and hopefully have Rafael join us in person one day. Would you
That'll be
accept
awesome.
our invitation to come in person, Rafa?
Definitely. That would be awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I hope you found this very educational and beneficial for your knowledge. And one last thing before we go is we usually send out a survey to hear from you, how you like the event, how beneficial it was for you. Now we would like to hear what your thoughts are so we can keep bringing more value to you. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight and taking some of your busy time to share it with us. You have a good night. God bless you all.
Thank you, Rafael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night. Have